Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, Local Works Wheat Ridge, provided by its Executive Director, Paige Piper.
Local Works is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to make Wheat Ridge a more vibrant and sustainable place to live and work. Our mission and action is programming that provides neighborhood revitalization and small business support, keeping and growing the businesses we know and love in Wheat Ridge. In simpler form, we provide connection. Connection to business, connection to community.
This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Amber Betts.
Hey there, I'm Amber Betts with the Good Neighbor Podcast, West Denver, and today I'm super excited to be here with Steve Richter. He is the Chief Operating Officer of the Rio Grande restaurant, which has multiple locations, one in downtown Denver. We can mention that later, but Fort Collins, Boulder, Lone Tree, etc. So Greeley. Anyways, so Steve, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so I want to mention before we get started, I grew up in Fort Collins where the original started, and my dad used to take me when I was a kid to the original Fort Collins location. So in the 80s. Okay. So I have been literally a fan of this restaurant for decades and different locations. Obviously, I'm in Denver now, but I'm just a big fan. So tell us, Steve, about what you guys have, just your background history, what you offer.
Well, like you said, we started in the late 80s, 86 in Fort Collins. And the owners at that time were just looking for some food that they were used to eating in Houston, in Texas. And so they were struggling to find a little cleaner version of Mexican food. And so they decided to open up a restaurant, and the rest is history. We kind of started jamming from day one. And what caught on was obviously the margarita. That was a big draw. And that sort of filled our restaurant, fresh tortillas and locally sourced black beans. In the beginning, we used to actually source the black beans from Longmont, and because we couldn't get black beans up here,
right?
And so sort of, we've been sort of scratch kitchen and locally sourced and locally owned for now 38 years and continue.
Amazing. Yeah, my dad says that, the first time he ever had black beans was at the Rio, and we still make them to this day. I've got some in the fridge right now. So
excellent. Yeah. Well, it's pretty amazing when you walk in the kitchen and there's literally like a 60-quart pot of beans on every single day, and they're just slowly cooking. And it's that simple,
Love it. So tell the listeners kind of your background and how you got into the business.
So I met the owner's good high school friend, the guy that came up with the name of the Rio Grande, because the Rio Grande is the river that runs between Texas and Mexico. So a perfect name for a Tex-Mex restaurant, right? And so I was ski bumming after I graduated from college in Boston. I went ski bumming in Vail for a year. It was too cold after a year, but I worked with this guy, David DeLesma, and we took a breakfast restaurant, and they to expand into dinner service. So he opened up a Mexican restaurant for a company or a restaurant called The Menu in Vail, West Vail. And so that's where I kind of cut my teeth in the kitchen. And David had told me he has some friends in Front Range, and I moved to Boulder and opened up the Boulder Rio in 1989. We just celebrated our 35th anniversary last Saturday night with a little party at the restaurant. So
that's so awesome.
And I didn't know I was going to be in the restaurant business, but it's one of those things where you start working at something and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I love this. It was the best. I just enjoy being in the kitchen and enjoy the people part of it. And so
awesome.
My economic degree helps me as well, because there's a lot of numbers.
I bet. So I know from my personal experience, one of my favorite things about the Rio is the consistency over the years. I mean, that marinated steak tastes the same as it always has. The salsa, the chips, the freshness. That's why I keep coming back. It's just amazing that you guys have kept that consistency for decades. But tell us what else. I mean, you mentioned the Tex-Mex. It's a little bit different than some of the other Mexican that we can get here in Colorado. But what else sets you apart? Why do people keep coming back after all these years?
Yeah, cool. Well, we work hard on that consistency piece out of the kitchen. I have a great team. My director of food and beverage, Eric Wiesman, is amazing, and Angel Ramirez lead the charge there. So we have a great culinary team. But I think the real reason people, so they come back for the consistency. We work really hard on the wholesome workplace. We are in the people business, not only customers, but our staff. We have 500 employees, and, we need our employees smiling when you walk in. And so we work really hard on that, and we try to be consistent with that. When we get a snowy day like yesterday and the sales aren't great, sometimes the staff needs a little, encouragement to keep smiling. But that's a huge focus for us. And I think that's why people keep on coming back. Our people are amazing. And then, of course, the margaritas and our bar program, which started, 38 years ago with a stiff margarita, which is the way I recommend the margaritas, for the flavor profile. The last thing you want in the world is a giant margarita that's got tons of mixed in it. Yeah, it's all sugar and hangover juice. Yeah. So we focus on, 2-ounce pour in all our margaritas at least. And, our classic marg has that plus a little bit. And over the years, we've expanded our bar program, and, that's, but, I'd say that's why people keep on coming back. Consistent food, great bar program, and really great people. So.
Love it. I will say too, all my friends and family that have moved away from Colorado, whenever they come back to visit, guess where we go? Gotta go to Rio. So awesome. Yeah. So tell us any kind of, I love the consistency, like we talked about, but anything new or special or things coming up that we should be looking out for?
Well, we just, we're in the process right now of, we put together a new menu, and it was designed to sort of shrink it a little bit temporarily. And then we call it back to basics, and we're focusing on we make all our tortillas homemade, both corn and flour. And it's basically like having a little tortilla factory in every single kitchen. Yeah. So there's a lot, as you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts. And right now we're really focusing on the freshest guacamole, the freshest tortillas, the quality on all our core elements. But then we're going to be rolling into Christmas season, and we do a lot of big parties, company parties, and banquets and such. And then first of the year, we do our blood orange menu, which will be coming up February into March. And then, we'll start rolling into the spring. So
awesome. So you're obviously, we're kind of focused on this podcast, the west part of Denver, but people all over Colorado listen. But tell us, in the different communities you're in, is there anything you do to give back? What do you do to get involved? Anything like that?
Yeah, so we do quite a bit. What we don't do is focus on one thing, and then, like a lot of companies will do that. We anybody that comes and asks us for help, we say yes. We try to say yes as much as we can. Sure. For example, I think on December 4th in Boulder, we're doing a night where 10% of the proceeds go to, I think it's Flatirons Elementary. And I had somebody on our anniversary night stop me and shake my hand and say thank you so much, and because they need the money, Yeah. And so it's a great win-win. They'll fill the restaurant, and we'll have a great night, and we'll give a good chunk of money directly to the school. So we kind of do those little things all year round with all the stores. And, Lone Tree does a lot down there. And Greeley and downtown Denver. So I always debate whether we should have like one mission statement where we're donating to only one cause. But the reality is our community and our customers are a diverse group, and we kind of want to take care of all of them. So
got it. Awesome. So Steve, I'm sure you stay busy, but tell me what we're doing outside of work. What do you do for fun?
Well, I'm debating right now because of the winter storm coming in. My wife just called me, and United said that our flight for tomorrow to Italy, they're offering us a free exchange because they're worried that it might get delayed. So now I'm freaking out. We have an Italian restaurant, and we're taking the Italian crew, the leadership team, to Tuscany for a little bit of a culinary tour. Which we do that. We've never done that with Rare before, but we do that with Rio. We go to Mexico, try to go once a year at least, down to the agave fields in the town of Tequila.
Amazing.
3 or 4 weeks ago, we went to the fields, and then we went further out, and we went to Oaxaca, the land of 7 moles and delicious food. So I really traveled to eat, Yeah.
With you on that.
That's the fun part, and we do it. We try to have fun as a company. We have a lot of company parties, and the folks here in Fort Collins get up on Horsetooth Reservoir and get a couple boats and let our hair down. You got
a lot of it. Yeah. Sweet. All right, Steve. Well, that kind of wraps it up. It's been great learning more and just getting to know you. Tell the listeners, okay, so we're going to have to list off the locations, your website, socials, so people can come visit you if they have never been before.
All right. Yeah. So we are in Fort Collins, Boulder, Greeley, Colorado, downtown Denver on Wazee, right next to Coors Field, and then close to Park Meadows Mall in Lone Tree. And everybody, our reputation is for our great classic margarita, the world's famous margarita, but our food is killer. And come in for the food. And I encourage you to taste the beautiful, simple beauty of the steak and the fresh tortilla and the guacamole and pico de gallo. That's who we are, So.
And take an Uber because those margaritas are strong.
Be careful.
Awesome. All right, Steve. Well, I really appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day and good luck getting to Italy.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. We might need it. Thanks, Amber, for having me on. Appreciate it.
And thanks to listeners out there. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwestdenver.com. That's gnpwestdenver.com or call 720-295-9588.